Welcome to Up on Game presents Taylor Scouting. Coach Randy Taylor is bringing his 40-plus years of knowledge to you. This is Taylor Scouting. And now, here's Coach Randy Taylor.
Hi, folks. This is Randy Taylor. They call me Coach Taylor, and we're doing another episode of the Up on Game Network Taylor Scouting podcast. And you guys, you can catch us on the Up on Game Network on all of the podcast sites like iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. You can get us on YouTube, on the Up on Game Network. Up on Game presents Taylor Scouting. And like always, we're being brought to you by LeVar Arrington and the Up on Game Network. Fired up to be here again. We're going to talk about winning today. And my guest is Mike Napoleon, who happens to be my brother-in-law and is a very successful baseball coach at New Trier High School in Winnetka, Illinois. And in his spare time, he coaches a little football. So what I really respect about Coach, and he'll probably give me a hard time that I was so complimentary, but what I respect the most about Mike is his ability to win with the hand he gets dealt every year. And as high school coaches, I think that is a normal process, but not everybody wins that way. This April, Mike won his 951st game, which made him the winningest high school baseball coach in the state of Illinois. And there's some good baseball being played in this state. So what I want to do is welcome Coach. Really glad to have you. And thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks, Rand. I appreciate and just adding some insights to the program, I hope.
Yeah, you will do just fine. I know it. So let's do this. Give us a brief rundown of your coaching career. Not a lot of details, but just kind of your path.
All right. So after I graduated from college, I went to U of I, Champaign, and I got a job at Quigley South, which is on the south side of Chicago, and I was coaching basketball and baseball. And I was an assistant coach there, and 2 years there, and the job opened up at Notre Dame High School in Niles. It's an all-boys Catholic school, and the head baseball job opened up, and I applied for it, not knowing that I shouldn't. Okay, and at 23 years old, I'm not sure many people would give me a chance to get the job, but I ended up getting the job. You start throwing out names that. You find out who they know that you know, and you start telling them, hey, can you make a phone call for me? And that's how I got the Notre Dame job. And I was there for 6 years, and then I left there, went to Danville Schlarman. I was there for a year, went to Providence, was there for 5 years, and then Providence in New Lenox. And then I went to New Trier High School, and I've been there for the last 28 years.
It's a great career. I've followed you. I've been to a lot of those games. I think maybe I didn't make it to Danville, but I'm not quite. I don't remember that. And so what I want to do is find out how many wins do you have now in baseball? How did you finish the season?
Okay, so I'm not a counter. I have two sons that like to count my wins, and my dad, and they're the counters. They tell me how many wins I have, but at the end of this season, we now have 967.
That's awesome, Coach. I want to talk about your kids. You and Melanie have a couple of very good coaches in the family. Talk briefly about their journey a bit.
Well, it started out with me being a young father and being a head coach and being a coach. Just being a gym rat myself. I used to take Dusty when he was a little kid, 2 years old, 3 years old, in a stroller to our practices, to our games, sometimes to our JV games or whatever. And it got to a point where my wife would be like, "Oh, they're gonna hate it. You're gonna drive them out of the sport. They've been with you all this time." Well, I got news for you. They're both college coaches now and enjoying life. So it ended up working out okay. I'm glad that they had the experiences of me being a coach and them enjoying the sports that I was coaching. So both of them are big football fans. They both played football. They both really enjoy football. I'm sure that if they weren't in the baseball world, they'd be coaching football. So we still keep abreast of everything. We have a Nap Men chat on our phone that only the three of us talk to each other on. And my wife would be like, "Hey, have you talked to the boys?" Yeah, I have. We've been chatting all day long, So whatever happens in the sport world, we'll feed back and forth. So I think personally, I've gotten to be a better coach as I've gotten older because I kind of listen to my sons and on what's the new phases in baseball and like how they treat kids, and I go to their practices and watch them coach, and I'll pick up things, and I think that's one thing that has helped my career as well.
And some of the technology probably that they see on a regular basis might have trickled to you.
Yeah.
Coach, is there a philosophy or goals you use to be a successful coach at this level?
Well, I think one of the biggest things you touched on earlier that I have a district that feeds into our school, and we're fortunate enough to have a very large district of 4,000 kids. But I firmly believe that having youth coaches that of, almost every one of our youth coaches in our district has played for me. Let me say that again. Almost every one of our district youth coaches have played for me. They get paid $2,000 a summer, and that's a credit to the organization that lets them do this. But from 8U on up, all the way up to 13U, I've had kids, and there's 3-4 teams per age group. So 8U meaning 8 years old and under. Okay, so the next one's 9U, 10U, 11U, 12U. So we have that many coaches that have played for me. And, in a 28-year span, I guess you're going to have a lot of alumni that want to get back into coaching. And that's one thing that has helped me develop kids at an early age. I'm also a big part of our incoming freshman camp. Our incoming freshman camp isn't just a week-long thing in the summer. Our incoming freshman camp is a 6-week-long thing. We do it for an hour and 45 minutes a day, for 5 days a week for 6 weeks. And I'm there along with my two freshman coaches, and we get a good feel. And there's anywhere between 50 and 60 kids at this camp. And these are all kids wishing and hoping that they'll make the freshman team at New Trier. And I think that has something to do with us being good every year. We also develop our hitters with a hitting camp. We have hands-on and we have all my coaches except for one. All my coaches are involved in some way, some aspect of summer camp, whether it be evaluating kids, whether it be conducting a scrimmage, and doing drills, setting up stations. And I have a lot of my coaches, except for two, that have been with me for the last 20 years.
Mike, at the college and pro level, a key to success is consistency and stability in rosters and coaching staffs. A bit about like what you've been talking about. At the college level, you recruit to maintain that. At the pro level, you pay the players to maintain that. In high school, in my opinion, there's more of a steady turnover of talent with graduation. And then you have the incoming freshmen, and not every class coming in is equal. You've talked a little bit about how you deal with that with the camps and all those kind of things. Give me a little bit more of your process of taking these kids from that the summer, the youth, and all the way through to their senior years, so they live through your program.
Well, we first of all make sure that no kid from the district leaves to go to a Catholic school. Okay, so we identify all the really good athletes, and we make sure that we are in touch with them as far as saying, hey, we have a camp coming up. You might want to come to this camp. To inviting a group of kids with the really good players included to come out to a home baseball game, home basketball game, home football game, getting them on campus. And I don't think it's recruiting. It's just showing them what you have to offer, as far as a in-district school. We let it be known through Twitter and Instagram, using social media, of our kids doing well. And we had 4 kids go on to play college baseball this past year. 2 of them at the University of St. Louis, or St. Louis University. So we've had a lot of success in sending kids to colleges. And so to say that, I just want to make sure that the best players are coming to New Trier, not leaving to go to an out-of-district school. That's number 1 priority. Number 2, I think it's a lot of it has to do with our lower-level coaches and getting them involved, and me getting involved in the summer to make sure that they're on the right track and what they're doing is improving. Kids grow at different paces. So though might have a smaller kid, we might see a lot of good things fundamentally from him, but right now he's just physically weak. And then we get him in a weightlifting program, and by the time they're juniors, they're a guy that is contributing on a varsity level. So we keep higher numbers because we have a lot of coaches in our program. We have 8 coaches, along with a volunteer. Our volunteer, by the way, is Kerry Wood. And yes, it's the same Kerry Wood. So, just having his name be associated with our program tends to draw kids as well.
And his son's not a bad pitcher.
Right. His son's going to be he's a 2024 kid.
Yeah. How well do you get to know your players?
Well, very well. I'm a teacher at the school as well. We have meetings. I get to know them when they walk in the doors as freshmen, because I've been at the freshman camp, and I'd say 100% of them were at the freshman camp. So they got to know me at a young early level. Some of them went to my hitting camps when they were in 7th and 8th grade. So I've known a lot of these kids. Some of them are younger siblings of kids that I've had in class, or older or younger brothers of ex-players. So the families have known me. I've been in the district. I lived in the district. My sons have gone to school there. And I'm a big part of the district, just being a face of New Trier, I would say, in the athletic department, being a football coach and baseball coach. So I know the families. I really get to know them. We have meetings with each kid in the fall about their previous season, and I let them know. And I'm a truth teller, Randy. I think you know that about me, is that I'll tell the kids the truth. I'll say it I won't sugarcoat things. I'll say it in a way they understand, and I'll let them know exactly where they are as far as talent wise goes. And if it's a problem in the classroom, I will let them know that too. That hey, right now you're a C student. You need to get the grades up. You'll have no place to go after you graduate No school is going to want you. You're going to be going to maybe a smaller, lesser school, maybe. I don't know. And if you have any aspirations about playing baseball, we need to get the grades up. So I let them know everything. I know what their grades are. I know what classes they're in. I know what teachers they have. I know their families, because once the kids are on the team, we start having parent groups and parent meetings and things like that. We have a parent get to know you thing the first week once the team is selected. We go to Arizona, and this past year we went to Arizona, and 100% of the family of the kids were represented by somebody in their family. So spending a lot of time with them during the season. We had a game at Guaranteed Rate Park this past year, which is Sox Park, and that was a big event. We went downstate. We placed third in the state, so that was a big event. So you really get to know your families. They're called upon by me to hey, we need treats for the bus rides home. We need this. We need breakfast for the kids when they board the bus. Who's in? I have team moms that will take care of all that stuff as well. So yeah, I know my families.
That's kind of my next thing, because I think we evaluate everything, and I know you don't like to say you're evaluating the player's family and their parents, or even their lifestyle or other activities. But does that impact the way you coach these youngsters sometimes?
Well, you got to know if they're going through some hard times for whatever reason. Okay. We had a situation this past year where we had a call up a weekend in Bloomington because a kid was going through a situation. So you have to know what's going on with your kids' lives outside of baseball, outside the field, because if you don't, I don't think you're just in tune to what they're thinking. And I'll tell you what, that really, it's a bad situation, but we've turned it into something that is positive for a team chemistry, and just, it's the right thing to do, at the time. So, yeah, you have to know your kids. I don't think I know them as well before they make the team. I don't use any of that as part of how they make the team and why they make the team. But once they're on the team, we really, really take initiative to understand who they are as a person, really get into their personal life a little bit, just so that if they're acting out of character, there must be something going on.
Have you changed your coaching style from year to year? I guess you could call it growth, or you learn, or that kind of thing. Or is it just you've done everything the same way and the players adapt to you?
No, I never do anything the same way. There are some fundamental things, some fundamental absolutes that have to stay similar. And some of my older school drills still work today. But as far as philosophy and some goals, I think those have changed. And I think that my style, if I can use that, my style has changed a little bit, because I think I learned a lot when my kids were playing for me, and how I would treat them as opposed to other kids. And I was like, this is wrong. I don't want them to dislike who I am. And I just learned to be more mature. I became more mature, and I started saying, like, better ways of saying things. Let's put it that way. I still get upset. I still get in kids' face. And they know when it's coming. But what's funny, Randy, is that this past year I had seniors who knew what I wanted, and they would approach the kid, that they would beeline to the kid before I got to him. And they would go like this, snaps, snaps, I got it. And sure enough, they did.
That is a way that you have developed them as leaders, right? Or they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have that in them.
yeah. No. I think it has everything to do with developing leaders. And in fact, two of the kids that were doing this weren't captains. They were just seniors that have been with me for 2 or 3 years. So they understood. And they didn't have sour grapes because they weren't captains. Okay. But they were the guys that were on the bench, or like one of them was a DH. So he didn't play the field. So he knew, he heard everything. And he wanted to learn. So the kid's going to Manhattan. He's going to go play baseball. So he wanted to learn. He was a sponge when it came to me talking. And so he picked up on everything. And he was accurate in everything he did this year. I was so happy for him.
That's great. You coach a high school team and you coach a summer travel type team, or do they call them travel teams? But is there a difference between the way you coach and or organize each of those?
No, I mean, well, nowadays, Randy, I think you have to be, in order to be successful, I think you got to be a 12-month-a-year coach, unfortunately, even though I'm still coaching football now. But I think you got to coach in the summer. Baseball was meant to be played in the summer. And we play about 25 games. We're down. We used to play 40 games, but we're down to 25 games this summer, and which is a good mix, I think, of kids playing multiple sports, which we definitely encourage. Do I change the way I coach, or no? I coach the same. I coach like each game's the seventh game in the World Series, but I still I'm not a guy that wants to win at all costs. I want to see kids be put in situations, and that's how I coach in the spring. I want to see them be put in situations where if they succeed, great, this is awesome. If they don't succeed, I go, oh, okay, we got to work on something.
You mentioned football. You're also an assistant football coach for the Trevians, and are in the middle of practicing and everything now. What's the difference between coaching football and baseball? Obviously the sports are different, but just from a coaching and a leading and discipline and all that kind of stuff, what's the difference?
Well, as you know, I'm not just a varsity assistant. I'm the offensive coordinator, which takes up way more time than being like a running back coach. Okay. I'm scripting every play we do in practice for 4 days a week in practice. So, yeah, that's a lot. I'm taking more of a back seat as far as getting on personnel, getting on kids. I leave that up to their position coaches. And if the position coach doesn't tell the kid, like, I'll watch the play, he'll do something not right, and then he'll come back and he won't get pulled and talked to. And I'd be like, hey, whoever, like, Mike, how come you didn't pull him out and talk to him? Oh, I was going to do it after. I go, no, do it, and do it right away. So I'm kind of coaching coaches as well. So, which I don't mind. I don't mind that. But to say difference between the two, and I'm that type A personality where I'm an assistant coach, but I'm not really an assistant. Like I take charge a lot more than a lot of coaches would if they're an assistant role. And I used to get on kids a little bit more motivation during football. At New Trier, it wasn't the number one sport. You'd have to recruit more kids to come out. We have an unbelievable number of kids out right now. We have over 80 kids on the varsity. And listen to this, Randy, 73 on the JV team, 73 on the sophomores. 73 sophomores are out for football. It's crazy.
When you get that kind of numbers, you're competing against other schools that are probably not even close to that.
No, right. Well, I mean, I'm sure Loyola has a bunch, but it's
certain
like
schools.
Yeah. So, but I mean, between the two styles of coaching, I guess I used to be a little bit more boisterous in football, like every day, and in baseball it would be only like 2 days a week.
Yeah. Hey, we'll wrap it up. It was great having you on the show. We talked about a lot of good stuff, and again, I know that I like watching you, and I like being around the fact of how you do things, because you win and you find ways to win, and it's fun for us and my wife and I. But do me a favor, will you say happy birthday to your dad, Pat, for Kiki and I?
Happy birthday to my dad.
Yeah, absolutely. We won't sing on this, but we'll say happy birthday.
I will. 91 years old, man. The oldest Napoleon ever. Yep.
You'll pass that. You're going to go to.
Oh God. Oh.
You'll be 105.
I hope I make the 65.
You will, brother. I love you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Got it. I'm going to wrap it up here. The Up On Game Network, Up On Game presents on YouTube, Taylor Scouting. You can follow me on Twitter at rtaylorfbscout. You can subscribe to the Up On Game Network. You can follow our podcasts, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review us. And we just, again, thank you for having us on your screen or your monitor or your Spotify or wherever the heck you get us. So thanks a lot, folks. And thanks, Mike Napoleon.